And it is 6 o'clock. So for everybody's time, I say we get started. We'll start with introductions. I'm Susie Nass. I am trying to take care of the Q&A. I'm the career counselor at the high school. Go to Casey.
My name is Casey Ogin. I'm the assistant principal for the class of 2022.
Hi, I'm Sherry Favre. Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Sherry Favre. I am the counselor for last names A through K.
And I'm Tawny Chinchilla, counselor for last name L through Z.
And I'm Rick Morton. I work with myself, Elliot, just to help all the families celebrate their senior year. So I'm the Jostens representative for your school.
So I think we decided, Susie, right, that Rick will let you go ahead and give your talk first, and then we'll get in to the meat of the program. So Rick, we'll just turn it over to you, and then when you're done, we'll get started with the rest of the objectives for the evening.
Okay, sounds good. Well, welcome parents, and it's exciting that you're here with us. So we appreciate you taking time out of your evening. I am very honored to be able to just do a little part of your seniors' incredible year. And I know they have had a very interesting journey so far, but I'm excited to be able to share some of those traditions that really come with being a senior. Now, those of you who've had a senior that graduated before, I think you know exactly what to expect. Those of you who have never had a senior, ask one of those parents or the school what it's like. But I'm just here to make sure that you have everything you need for the day to look perfect, including the cap and gown and beautiful announcements to send out to your families and friends. And if you want to help your students celebrate their senior pride, they haven't earned that diploma yet, but they certainly have earned the right to be class of 22 and celebrate that this year. So what I want to do is just go over a couple of the details on how we're going to be able to do orders for your school. This year, what we're doing is we're doing a whole senior order week, and we're just promoting that week as a great time to purchase your cap and gown. And that'll be October 25th through the 30th. Now you can order other times, but during that week, we're just going to remove the shipping and handling. So just give you a chance to save a little money. And there's going to be group discounted pricing during that time. So if you could take advantage of that, I would if I were you. But if you don't worry about that, then you can order anytime you want. There's going to be a flyer that's going to be available for all the parents. That is basically a quick access link to the website on jostens.com. There's a lot of information. But I created this flyer. When you get it, you'll be able to literally just either QR code directly to the South Kitsap's ordering site, right to the cap and gown, or right to the individual products. So I kind of created this little sheet for you just to make it easier for you to navigate all the spaces on our website. There is a lot of packages out there. What we try to do is put things together that make sense. Your mascot package is one of the more popular ones. It just seems to have everything students want, parents need to announce the big day, and of course, what the school requires for graduation, which is the graduation outfit. There's all kinds of packages available. So if you don't see the mascot one fitting your needs, there's a package for every budget and every style. The announcements are included in most of the packages, and this is that beautiful formal announcement. It's the parchment foil three-fold. It'll have the details of the date, time, and place of your graduation ceremony. And it also comes with a little card that you can customize for your student with their pictures and details of the graduation parties and even next steps about what they're going to do. And then there's something new this year. Jostens is kind of coming out with new stuff all the time. This is called Announcements Plus. It gives you a way to really bring that announcement to life by adding a little video QR code so your student in their graduation gown can make a video to send out to the families and friends, and thanking them for supporting their senior journey. There's all kinds of apparel and fun stuff for them to wear. There's beautiful class jewelry. If you guys want to do that during the senior order week, we do have a discount for those who want to get their student a class jewelry. Plus, there is a free ring that when you order your class ring during senior week, you get this beautiful companion ring as a gift that's early. There's also letter jackets. If your student has earned the right to wear a letter, there's information is available for letter jacket ordering. There's lots of payment plans. So if there's ways you want to split this up over time, the website has all those payment plans available. And again, the week to order would be the October 25th through October 30th. Again, you can order before or after that, The final deadline in order to get your gown, to make sure I have enough time to custom make the gown, though, would be December 10th. So if you missed this opportunity, be sure to order by December 10th, no later, because that will make sure that we get everything perfect and ready for your student. Some of the products ship right to your home, like the souvenir items that you want your student to start wearing right away. But a lot of the custom items are going to be delivered in the spring, typically in April. And that's when we deliver the graduation announcements and also the cap and gowns. And I think that's it. So I know I covered a lot and there is a lot of information there, but hopefully we'll make it easy. If you have any questions, let us know. We're always here. You can reach out by phone, by email, by text, and all that information will be given to your student and also on the website on that flyer. So thank you very much. And that is all I had.
Thanks, Rick.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rick. I know that Rick stepping into some big shoes, but I met him several years ago. He's a high energy guy and a great customer service guy. He's going to take good care of you, senior parents, and everything you need. So make sure if you have questions, reach out to him and he'll be back to you and make sure you got what you need. So we're excited to have Rick on board and working with us, and we'll be our first year together and it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm excited. Thank you. Were there any questions for me, or do you want to wait to the end, or do you want to get back to me, or it's up to you?
No, I think right now, if there's any questions for Rick, let's go ahead and get him out, and then we'll get, and then we can pick up some things later for you too, if we need to.
So I'm currently not seeing any questions.
Okay.
Oh, one just popped up. Hold on. Oh, you were thanked. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you. No, seriously, we do want to help in any way we can. And I know this is a big deal. So we're going to work really hard to make it perfect for your student. So, well, thank you very much. If there's anything else, I'll step out and let you guys take over. All right.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye, Rick.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. And suddenly, oh, there we go. I'm going to share our screen. But I apologize. All right, do you guys see that? Okay, so Mr. Ogin, take it away.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I'm looking at the participants list, and we have quite a few more parents enjoyed us last year on our junior meeting, so we're excited to have everybody here. This is, we don't do webinars very often, so it's very odd to talk to a black screen to myself, and I don't see all you guys out there participating, but we're glad that you're here. Tonight, we have a couple of objectives for this evening. We want to make sure that everybody's clear on the graduation requirements for this year for your students, post-high school options, excuse me, and then any questions and answers that you might have. Hopefully we can answer some questions for you. I know that the senior year is a little stressful if you haven't been through it before. It's your first time through. There are a lot of things that pop up. I'm in the system. I've been in the system a long time. When my first son graduated, there were still a lot of things I didn't know, which is maybe not too surprising for some, but it can be complicated. So make sure you reach out to us, ask any questions you might have. We're here to help and assist you in any way we possibly can. So just a review of the graduation requirements. You getting there, Susie? There we go. So these are the requirements that your student needs to graduate, a minimum of 30 credits, and then those are the areas in which they need to get their credits in. And the counselors have been working very hard over the last 3 years, making sure that your students are prepared. They're meeting with them. They're making sure they have the proper classes and credits. And then we're trying to do a lot of work to gear some of those things toward their high school and beyond plan as well, because as you see over in the right-hand column, that is something that they need to have completed as well. So as we're talking about what kind of math classes we want students to be in, we're looking at what they say in their high school and beyond plan and what their possible next steps and graduation next steps are, make sure that the math classes, English classes, et cetera, line up with what they want to do after high school. So that's the work that's been going on over the last 3 years. It's the work that's continuing right now. Again, I think we met Friday as a team, and we believe and feel we have everybody on a pathway to graduation that we feel could get there based on the options that are available to us. So if you're not sure, make sure you reach out to Ms. Favre, Ms. Chinchilla, and they'll go over it with you. I know they're meeting with kids individually and working on ones who we're not quite sure, and making sure they're building plans for them as well. So that's kind of the work that's going on, what we're trying to meet. One of the big questions, one of the things we're trying to solidify for all the students is the high school and beyond plan. We lost, because of the pandemic, person-to-person contact with them. So it's been hard to communicate those requirements. So we're going to go over them right now. And so you could check in with your student to make sure they've been working on this and that they're getting some things done. If they tell you they don't have anything to do at night, you could always say, hey, high school and beyond plan coming, and they should know what they need to do. So Susie, if you want to go ahead and go into those details, and then I'll monitor the questions and the answers while you're talking, Susie, so you don't have to do both of those.
Okay, thank you. And I feel like my internet connection is unstable, and I apologize to everyone. So the high school and beyond plan is a state requirement, and South Kitsap School District uses a program called Zello to meet this requirement. Your student can find it if they go to the high school's webpage. In the section with learning, they can find the Hello ID, and it's Zello with an XELLO. They should be familiar with how to get to it. It's also in their Hello ID if they go through the district's website. And basically what it will do is take it to a page that says, hey, and their first name. So this is my page, hey, Susie, and it gives you the core lessons on the left. This is a screenshot. So underneath this blue box, there's about 5 other lessons that I need to do. They also have that box that's kind of in the right column that has the about me. And as you can see, I have 4 of them checked with a green check mark. So your students should also look very similar to this. If they don't have the 4 green checks that you can see on this page, they do need to do those in order to complete the senior requirements, for sure, even with the accommodations that we're trying to make for the last 2 years. So this is the update. I realize it's kind of small maybe with this screen, but your student, Ms. Chinchilla, was it posted in the Google Classroom? We were waiting for final confirmation that this is indeed the final one. I believe it has been posted to the Google Classroom, and it has been updated on Zello. So when your student logs into Zello, what they will see is what's required. The tricky part is they still do need to go back to earlier lessons. And while junior year and sophomore year were a little tricky with COVID, they were present fully for their freshman year. And so they really should have completed the freshman lessons. And we're required by the state to make sure that they have had the opportunity and that they have actually completed things like a career interest inventory and learning styles and things like that. And so they do need to go back to those lessons. There was also no way to get around a couple of the sophomore lessons, so we narrowed it down to 3. And there's 1 lesson from their junior year that they do need to go back and complete. We realize this is not ideal, but it's the best we could do while still meeting the state requirements. So I think this,
Yep.
I'm done with my part.
Okay, thanks, Susie. So my part is to talk about graduation pathway. Mr. Ogin talked a little bit about it, so I just want to elaborate a little bit more. I think it can be confusing for parents and sometimes for us, honestly. So part of the classes that a student needs to take a certain amount of credits, this is also an additional thing that needs to be met to meet graduation. So these are a lot of different paths, and it really depends on where your student is. So Ms. Chinchilla and I have gone through and we've looked at each and every one of our students to see which pathway they can meet. So the first one is through state assessments like SBAC. A few students took English back in their sophomore year. And these are some of the dates that are listed here that we're going to be having upcoming state testing. So some students will meet this requirement from that. The dual credit is talking about a lot of kids that are in Running Start. So they would have met the state requirement by being a Running Start student as long as they've had their English and math. And most of the students all of the students that are on their path to get their associates would have had those 2 classes. The only thing where it might get a little tricky is if you're a student who is going part-time. So then that's something we need to make sure that you have that English and the math. A lot of students may meet the requirement by AP or IB. It does depend on some of the level of tests that they were able to get. So like a 3 or a 4. We also have a list of classes, like for example, AP history. If they got a C+ or better in that class, then they could also meet this graduation pathway through that. There are some other classes also, but that's just an example. We have the SAT date coming up. So that's the one that's in school. And we'd really, really encourage everyone to come to school that day and to take the SAT. The ASVAB, which is at the bottom of the list, is also on that list to be taken on the 13th. So a student can meet that by getting a certain score on the SAT, and then the ASVAB, it's the 31 or higher. I believe it's an 810 and an 830, and I always get mixed up between which. I think it's 810 for math and 830 for English for the SAT to meet that requirement. Another thing could be your student may be in a Bridge to College English or a Bridge to College Math. And I know Ms. Chinchilla and I met with a lot of families and talked to students. And so we placed your student in those classes specifically so that they could meet this requirement. And we spent a lot of time doing that. And then of course the ASVAB. And then the final one does get confusing. It has to be a sequence of classes. We have a list that we go off of to tell us what that is. But for an example, it might be like Athletic Medicine 1 and Athletic Medicine 2. So that's 2 years of a sequence of classes that would count for that CTE. So they're usually the career and technical, right, education. That's what the CTE stands for. So again, if you are concerned about your student and not sure if they've met that pathway, I'm happy. I know Ms. Chinchilla would be happy to hear from you, and we can go over where your child sits in that situation. The next slide.
Just a real quick clarification, Sherry.
Sure.
I think you said 810 and 830 for the SAT scores. It's 410 and 430.
Oh, right.
So 410 for
Right.
ELA and 430 for math.
Yes, sorry about that. It's the
800 scores
combination
are
gets
about
to
perfect,
800. Yeah. So sorry. If you can tell, I'm a little nervous, so it's definitely new. So thank you so much for checking me on that one. This next one, it just kind of talks about the things that Ms. Chinchilla and Ms. Nass that we talk about with students. We want to make sure that your student's not only ready to graduate from high school, but that more importantly, they're ready for the next step of what they want for their future. So for a lot of students, it could be any one of these situations, and we're happy to talk to them more and give them more information in fields that they might be interested in. And then the next slide. So this next slide really, it talks about a lot of things that Ms. Nass does in the Career Center. We also talk to students every day about these things, but she's a great resource to us about specific one-on-one time that she could sit down and go in lunches or things like that to be able to talk to them about specific things because she talks to people every single day and has contacts in a lot of these organizations. So she's a really great resource, but we're also happy to talk to your student about all of these things. And then the last slide just gives you an example of some places that we have around us. that your child might be interested in. So a lot of trade schools, I know like Bates College too, like there's a lot of things around. And then the 2-year colleges that are locally to us, if your student maybe wants to stay a little closer to home before they go away. And then of course, there's a lot of 4-year private and public colleges. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next slide with Ms. Chinchilla. So thank you so much.
So we are in applying to college time, and we're meeting with students who know what college they want to apply to, but we're also meeting with students who still are exploring what colleges they want to apply to. So just kind of ways to help to explore, you know, there's a difference between those public schools and private schools. Sometimes students shy away from applying to private schools because the cost that goes with it. But as Susie will talk here in a little bit, sometimes with scholarships, it can be just the same price getting knocked down with scholarships as a public school. So we kind of recommend students to look at both of them. And then when the financial aid packages all get together, you can decide which one is best fit. A 2-year versus a 4-year, even our 2-year college, Olympic College, students will apply to go to that along as 4 years. And then looking at the location, major, size, it's pretty fun. We're having fun talking to students about just locations and questioning them if they want to go to Montana, but they don't like the snow. Majority of their time over there is going to be in the snow. So just kind of exploring different things, just trying to challenge them to think like this is your first year living away from home. What kind of environment do they want to do? So there's a website on collegeboard.org has a great college search on it that I tell a lot of my students to go to, and they can search by major, size, location. It helps them kind of narrow down to get a list of schools, because there's a lot of schools out there and I think sometimes they get overwhelmed. Classroom visits or college visits is another great way. In a slide to come, we'll show all the ones Mrs. Nass has listed to come for us to talk to. So the students come out of class, they talk maybe with a rep for about 15 minutes, and then they can go back to class. So that's a great way. And sometimes even those college reps will give them a free application. So that's another maybe perk of going to talk with them. Making a to-do list. So there's a website. The big feature is on that College Board website as well. So that's just a great way to get some tips and tools. The SAT, ACT, and the AccuPlacer. So most of the schools have gone test optional. So you'll have to check which colleges still want the SAT or the ACT. We're kind of, sometimes we're telling students to still take it, so they have it in their back pocket. If a scholarship wants it, they have it, but if they're not asking for it, then you don't have to send them off. So, but I think because we're having that October 13th test day, a lot of our students are coming in asking if they have to come that day, if they have to take it. One, we're encouraging them to take it because of the graduation pathway piece of it, if they haven't passed that yet, but also some schools still might want it, even though a lot have gone optional. And then completing the FAFSA, so that will start on October 1st. So that's for financial aid, and we just encourage everyone to fill it out because you never know, you might get some money from it. So we're applying for colleges right now. Usually it's fall and winter. I just encourage to watch the deadlines of it. And I'm also encouraging students, they can apply now. So if you apply to 5 or 6, you don't have to make your decision until May 1st when you put your deposits down. So I think a lot of students come in thinking, well, I'm not sure about this college, I don't want to apply. But you can apply and you don't make your decision until later. So, I would kind of, sometimes I encourage if they really don't know, like cast that net out, apply to 5 or 6 colleges, and then you might change your mind by April or change where you want to go depending on the financial aid.
Thank you. So yes, these are currently the visits that are ahead of us. There were some that we've already had. And so as you can, the L and the D in the parentheses by the names are just if it's a lie. So NC times. How this works is the student needs to come to the Career Center and see Ms. Smith and sign up, and she'll write a pass for them to show their teacher. Their teacher does still have the right to ask them to stay, especially if there's a test or a project or a presentation or something that they need to be in attendance for. But usually most teachers are able to accommodate the student to go down and visit, or at least check in with the student or the college rep and then go back to class. There's still more. It's just, I, again, was screenshotting the page and I could only get up to the 21st of October. So it goes into November as well. But after that, we probably won't have very many college visits because, as Ms. Chinchilla said, the application deadlines are, the early decision are in November, and then regular decision is in January at some point. So most of the college admissions reps stop doing visits for the December and January months because they're busy going through their applications. So, back to Ms. Chinchilla.
So then applying for colleges, some schools have gone on a common application. So if you go on common application, you type in the different schools you're wanting to apply to see if they've decided that you only have to submit one application, and then you check all the colleges that are part of it. So one application goes out to, let's say, 5 schools if they're all a part of Common App. And so that's through the Common App website. There's usually a piece for the counselors to do. Usually there's a lot of times 2 recommendations that the student needs to get from teachers. And so just making sure they're aware of that, they're letting the teachers know. Kind of the tricky part, sometimes the students can go in and pick teachers, but they haven't actually talked to the teachers about it yet. So all of a sudden the teachers will get an email saying, asking for a letter of recommendation, and the teachers didn't even know they were going to be asked. So we kind of recommend for students to maybe go ask the teachers first before that email gets sent out. So just so they have a heads up about that. So that's kind of the Common App. Then there's a coalition, which is another Common App type thing. So a lot of our students have a couple schools on the coalition. And then there's other schools like WSU, like they're on their own. So you have to kind of, it was nice that Common App got together so you don't have to do 5 different applications, just do one. But several of our Washington schools are still on their own application process. And if they ask for a letter, if they ask for a transcript from us, you go through our high school website, and we're using Parchment so that it comes directly from the school and they know it's an official transcript. And then I think the next slide shows you exactly how to do that. If you are sending SAT, ACT scores, the SAT has to go through College Board, and the ACT has to go through the ACT.org website. And if you're taking, if you've taken any like college and the high school classes, or you're taking Running Start, you have to request a transcript from UW or OC as well. So any class you've taken outside of the high school, colleges want all of those.
Sorry, I'm trying to answer questions.
And then your admissions essay, just if you need help with that, all of us are available to help. Definitely keep within the word count. The admissions officers, they have so many to read, don't go over. And then really stick to answering the question or the kind of big recommendations that they have. And recommended for some schools, the SAT subject test is recommended. So sometimes if you're getting into a specialty major, they might want that. If it's recommended, you definitely want to do it. Applying for financial aid. So besides the financial aid, the FAFSA, some schools will want you to do their own financial aid application. So it's not a part of the school application. So just check your school's financial aid to see if they're going to pull it from the FAFSA, or if they're going to have you submit a separate one to the campus. And just watch the deadlines. An example, UW's is November 15th. We're constantly talking to students about that. You think, that they don't think it's just one big, special day. Like each one could have a different due date, and definitely not waiting the night before, because computers tend to crash when everyone is trying to submit, especially to the UW on the 15th, which happens to be a Monday, I think. So Sunday night, it might be overloaded. So just plan on those early.
I'm going to have us pause for a minute because there are some questions coming in, and I think Mr. Ogin is trying to type, and I am too, and just so that we can get caught up on those. Great questions. I'm assuming there's a question about how does this work with Running Start, as well as can other grade levels go to the call as with West Sound Tech. Obviously, they have different class meeting times, but of course, they are our students and they are welcome to come. If they can't make the particular time, so like WSU is visiting tomorrow at 1:30, And if they have a class or they need to be at West Tech, or their teacher asks them to just have them talk to, and most reps are totally willing to meet with the student, and it can be done in my office and I'll be there, or they can Zoom with them or something like that. So they realize that not every student can make the meetings. And so some will send their presentation classroom, and it's your future fair. We're not able to host that live again, but similar to last year, I put it out and all of the college admissions reps website.
Miss Nass.
over-
Miss Nass, sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
The audio is locking up a little bit. You may want to turn your, I'm not sure if you're the one sharing screen, but you might want to turn your video off for a little bit. Let it catch up. Seems like it's locking up while you're speaking.
Okay. I'll turn off my audio as well, and Ms. Chinchilla has the next 2 slides anyway, so I think
And I don't know if that Running Start question was applying for schools or if it was for college visits, but for Running Start students, it's important you apply for as your freshman. If you're going in as your freshman year, sometimes they think they're a transfer student because they already had their AA, but you apply as their freshman. Once you get in as a freshman, then they look at your records and then they'll bump your academic status up. So just in case that was a question. So here's that parchment where we're talking about when you request an official transcript from the high school. Go onto our high school website, guidance, and then in the quick link box in the corner, it'll say request a transcript. So that's how to do that.
Connie, can you answer the question about being able to update college applications after they've already applied? How does that work? Once they send them, are they locked, or is there an opportunity to adjust some things?
Typically, when you hit submit, it's gone. We can call it in their admissions rep and talk with him and see if it's a significant change. We can go back and see. That's why they normally give you a couple warning screens before you hit submit, just because once it goes, it goes. I think that was my student, so you can come see me and we can call a rep and see depending on what the change was.
And if you've already applied, great job, because you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah. So kind of your basic timeline that going through what's going on in September. We're at the end of September. We kind of reviewed some of this stuff, and then November, you should be working on your applications. At that point, you're retaking SAT, ACT, if you're going to go for that, making sure your transcripts are submitted in. Then January, you're researching, applying for scholarships. When you're looking at Mrs. Nass scholarships, which she's going to go over next, those are really start ramping up here November, December. Like if you go on right now, there might be only a couple listed, but so kind of once you get your college applications done, then you focus on hopefully, writing some essays for scholarships. And then in March and April is kind of when everything comes together. You'll get your acceptance letters, and some you might get sooner. Some students have come and told me they've already got accepted to some colleges, which is great. But the financially and all that package stuff shouldn't come until later. And then, once you decide, you make that deposit to that college, and that's kind of you committing to do that. If you decide to change at that point, most likely you'll lose the deposit, but you could choose to go to a different one. Do you have questions? Yeah, so the running start question for the SAT is on the 13th, and our secretary, Ms. Green, has been sending out information on that, but I believe it's at 8:30 that it's starting. Susie, do you think you're good?
Yeah, I think so. Am I sounding okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
leave my video off just so that, sorry, if I get worked again, let me know. So for financial aid, keep in mind that financial aid
No, Susie, you're
The
again.
FAFSA or the WASFA applies to all schools.
Can we take over, Susie?
Okay, talk about this for me? Yes, please. Yes.
And we're gonna, if you want to hear it straight from Susie, we are gonna have a night coming up here. I think it's October 6th. But financial aid for 2-year, 4-year state schools, you can qualify grants, loan, tuition waivers. You get an ID, and that's what your is like your electronic signature when you're going to do the FAFSA. And you're going to do the FAFSA every single year your students in school. So this will just be your first try at it, and then until they graduate from college. They use prior year for taxes. So you're going to go back and get your 2020 taxes to do the FAFSA this year. Each school will send you a different award letter that will include anything that you possibly did get. And then as far as loans go, you just want to be careful you don't take out like more than you need, because they sometimes will offer you more than you need, but every loan you have to pay back. So just making sure you can choose the amount of the loan that you can take out. And there's also different rates of return on that. Sometimes you have to pay them back while you're in school, sometimes after school, sometimes they're parent loans. So there's a whole bunch of different loan categories that the award letters will show you. And then you're just using those awards to sit down and compare which cost of school. If it really comes down to a decision of money, you'll have that all in front of you around April. And then applying for the FAFSA, like we said, October 1st it opens, and you guys can get in and get started on it. You can hit save if you have questions. And like I said, we'll be having a night on October 6th at the school, I think 6 o'clock in the library. And if you bring in your information, Mrs. Nass will be there, and we'll be there to help you if you just want some extra eyes helping you work through it. And we'll have a couple, as long as we can, we'll have a couple nights throughout the year to help.
Can I hear me now?
Sure.
Okay, so I just, thank you, and I hope it's fixed. But bottom line is just complete the FAFSA. The WASFA is for if you don't have a social security number. And so you can use that as well. But many merit aid scholarships still want you to file it. And merit is simply based on your academic performance rather than a need base. So sometimes parents and students will say, we know we're not going to qualify for any aid, but some of the merit scholarships still want you to file for it.
We're still having trouble, Susie.
Just stop. Someone's gonna take over.
Oh, yeah, go ahead and go to the scholarship slide, Susie, and I'll go ahead and talk about that, and because I got the rest of it anyway. So we do a lot of scholarships here locally. I think our community does a great job of supporting our students. And then there's always different scholarships to the universities that you can apply for, and there's national scholarships as well. So make sure you're visiting, your students visiting the Career Center. They have the scholarships posted when the deadlines are and those kind of things. And then if your student needs like a letter of recommendation for the scholarship, make sure that they're asking teachers and counselors early enough to make sure they can get those things in, because there is a lot of money out there that's available. And again, you never know, you can't earn it if you don't apply. So if you're looking at scholarships as a way to support paying for college, apply for as many as you can find, as many as you can. So you never know how they're going to pay out. So make sure that you're doing that. There's one here on here, never pay for scholarship search programs. I think that's a good one. There's a lot of free search, you could search scholarships all over the place, but don't pay for something that's going to try and guarantee your student's going to get a scholarship, because it's probably not accurate. And again, Ms. Nass and the Career Center do a great job of having all the scholarships available down there, and they post them when they get them. So make sure you're looking at that. And there, like I said, there's some national ones out there. Coca-Cola, different major corporations do regional scholarships. You can look at those. So again, you can't get it if you don't apply. So make sure that you're doing those as best you can. The other option for a lot of students that we wanted to kind of touch base on is the military. We do, and Susie, I don't know if you could answer this one because I'm not sure where we are with this year. In the past, when we've been in person, the military recruiters have been in our building at lunchtime and that kind of thing. Are we still doing that this year? No? So again, then, Ms. Nass.
I hope I last long enough. Each of them is coming in, and they're going to come in a couple times throughout the year.
Okay. So those are going to be some great opportunities for your student to meet some recruiters and look at some opportunities through the military if you haven't done so yet. And I think there's a couple of the recruiting offices right across the street from the high school. So, but again, if you have questions, your counselors and Ms. Nass will be able to help support you there. If you're thinking of the military, make sure you do the ASVAB in October. That's going to be something they're going to want. And again, it meets one of those pathways and testing as well if you need it. But definitely, if your military is the direction you want to go, make sure you're looking at that. And then there's ROTC scholarships, and there's different ways military can help pay for school as well. So if you want to be a four-year college student, you're not sure you can pay for it, military is a great option as well to help cover some of those costs. Be looking, a couple other little things. Be looking for a class of 22 newsletter. That will be going out. Miss Ladeau usually sends those out to everybody through the webpage, and make sure that you're looking at that a lot. We're just gonna be giving monthly information about kind of where you should be with some next steps and what you should be looking at, talking to your student about to make sure that you're all prepared for graduation in June. And that's about all we've got. If there's any other questions people might have that we can answer real quickly, a couple that have popped up that I saw. We're going to post this in as many places as we can, so you could go back and review it if somebody didn't get to it. So I'm not the internet or the webpage expert, but I know we have somebody who could post on the South Kitsap High School webpage, and we'll also send it through our Google Classroom, so your student will have access to it, and you can ask them to pull it up on their Google Classroom. Are the two best ways, and we could send it out, and I'll talk to Miss Ladeau about this, but through Skyward as well as an email, and we can attach it. But we'll get it out there so you have more access to it and you can review it.
There's some questions, and I'm going to try to answer them. Sophomores are automatically signed up for the PSAT. They couldn't choose to take another test.
So there are for seniors, if they didn't want to take the SAT, but they wanted to take the ASVAB, there are a few seats left. So just let Miss Barbara and I know, we can try to get you in there. So you don't have to take the SAT on that October 13 day if you want to do the ASVAB.
I'm not sure about the ACT question. On the 23rd, we have been a test site in the past. I don't know if we signed up for that or not. So Susie, you're typing in there, look like? No? But we could get more information on that. In the past, Miss Evans has run that. So if reach out directly to Miss Evans, or we'll post an answer when we post the information, or when we post this presentation.
So there's a couple more questions. For the apprenticeship, it really depends on what apprenticeship they're applying to. They all have their different requirements. Leuna is one that's local. It's out of North Kitsap area. And basically it's like a job application and everything. And so then the student just has 2 years to continue to work and learn. And then they'll be offered a job potentially by different companies. That's just one example. The shipyard has other requirements. They're allowing direct hires. So the student can send their resume directly to several of the shops at the PSNS without having to apply to USA Jobs. Could someone take the question on replacing your grades? Do you guys, Ms.
Yeah,
Chinchilla or
so
Ms. Goldberg?
if you replaced a grade, there's a form you have to fill out with us because your old grade will always see on your transcript, but it'll zero out. And then your new grade will still be on there. So if you haven't done that form with us, just come by and grab that form.
And then I just wanted to go back to the apprenticeship thing. Austin, if you wanted to talk more about that, then you can come in and make an appointment and see me. And we can set something up so we can talk more about specific things, okay?
And then about Jostens, they are coming to campus on October 19th. So we'll have the SBAC math testing in the morning. And then right after that, the Jostens rep will be there. And all the students should come home with packets. So if you're not in internet, you want the old school packet way, packets will come home. And again, that's October 19th, which is right before he was saying was the week in the end of October that the special discounts for us will be.
There's a comment on here, caps, gowns, and graduation. I don't know if there's more to that, but caps and gowns information is going to be coming out. We'll make sure you get the links to order those by, and it was the end of October was the week that he put up there, and we're still working on graduation dates. So we'll have that out to you as soon as we can.
And anyone who misses that presentation on October 19th, the guidance office will always have the packets up in our office and probably down in the Career Center too. So you can pick those up after the 19th.
Was that question, Tani, regarding Running Start students picking up Jostens?
Yeah.
There was one question about the West Sound Tech graduation. I'm not sure.
There's not an actual graduation from West Sound Tech. They graduate with us. I'm not sure exactly the question, but to get the credits for them to graduate with us, you'd have to meet all the requirements over at West Sound Tech, and I'm not 100% certain what all those are. Or am I missing something there, Tani and Sherry? Is there a West Sound Tech graduation?
Not that I know. Yeah, no, they don't have a ceremony for West Sound Tech.
So I'm kind of going back at the beginning when we were saying like, so Ms. Favre and I have gone through all of our students that their credit checks. We have them in the classes that they should need to graduate, and we've talked with them all. So unfortunately, we don't have time to call every single student in, but if they have questions about their graduation, they can come and see us. But just know that's what we spend a lot of our time in August is making sure we hand place them in the classes they need. If they needed an art, if they needed an extra science. So we've gone through that with our credit checks and with their schedules. But just if you want to feel safe about it, definitely tell your students to make an appointment to come in and see us. We're pretty, flexible for them to come see us. And then if you guys wanted a credit check, we can email that home to you as well. So you can see visually what our plan is. But I think as long as they do their job and pass their classes, then we should be good.
Well, all right. It looks like we're not getting any more questions. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Wish I could say it was good to see you, but I know that you're out there, and we're glad you came. Again, reach out to us as the year goes on, as things pop up. We're going to try and communicate with you as best we can as we hit different things that have to be taken care of, so you're aware. And again, we're going to continue to work hard with your student to make sure that they're kind of on board. One of the people we don't have here with us tonight is Mr. Canton, and he's got some tasks to help make certain that his kids start falling off, or if they start falling off, that he's be meeting with them and trying to get them back on track as well. So we're going to do everything we can to assist you and your student to make sure they get there and be able to successfully move on to the next phase of their lives. So, and hopefully that's going to be a real positive one, because that's what we're aiming for. So, all right. I don't know who signs us off, but again, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody being here, and we'll talk to you later.